The O'Reilly Factor's on tonight.
What gun laws can you point to that specifically would have prevented the shooting in Roseburg, Oregon?
Sometimes there isn't a specific law that you can point to that would prevent a tragedy like this from happening.
The left continues to call for more gun laws, even though evidence is mounting they would not prevent mass killings. We'll have a special investigation tonight.
I'm just so darn bummed. All anyone wants to talk about is Donald Trump.
Do you think he'll win the primaries?
He must. I want to be the one to take him down. I will destroy him, and I will mount his hair in the Oval Office!
Hillary Clinton trying to win over the American public, so how's she doing with that? Charles Krauthammer has some thoughts.
Do you have any problems with the United States?
Also ahead, Jesse Waters goes to Dearborn, Michigan, where half the population is Muslim.
Can I wear a tie with this?
No.
Caution, you are about to enter the no-spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The truth about gun crime in America. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. As you may know, President Obama and now Hillary Clinton are calling for more regulation of gun sales in the USA. That is bitterly opposed by the National Rifle Association and some other Americans who believe the government should not intrude on the right to bear arms. Of course, there are logical compromises that can and should be made. But the issue is all about emotion, not rational thinking. Perhaps the best soundbite I heard after the Oregon massacre was this.
I mean, the reality is gun control laws control the behavior of legitimate people. People who rob stores, people who rob banks, and people who are insane and want to go ahead and murder don't follow the gun control laws.
Of course, that is true. No amount of legislation is going to stop a madman from killing. And right now, there are more than 300 million civilian-owned firearms in the USA, according to congressional research data. That's just about one gun for every U.S. citizen. So even if you stop gun sales, which is unconstitutional, there would still be 300 million firearms floating around. Now, in order to stop the insanity, Talking Points will put forth what should happen in the gun arena. First of all, politicians should knock stuff off like this.
We have got to keep guns out of the hands of people who should not have them, domestic abusers, people with serious mental health problems. There's got to be a better tracking and record keeping.
Now, Mrs. Clinton knows it's impossible to keep guns away from dangerous people, so why demagogue the issue? However, better tracking and record keeping would be a good thing. For example, convicts should not be able to buy guns, and the FBI database is there to flag gun sellers to that circumstance. Also, if an American undergoes treatment for mental illness and is hospitalized because of it, that should be in the FBI database as well. Yeah, there are privacy violations here, but the greater good is served by keeping people with criminal records and mental problems away from firearms, correct? Therefore, background checks should be mandatory, even at gun shows and on the net. Conservative Americans who value keeping the peace should back that. Liberal Americans who want all kinds of regulations, in addition to that, are being irrational. Every time I bring up the Chicago murder rate, every time where gun laws are stringent, I get blank looks from the left. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear about it. They have no solutions. Chicago's run by ardent liberals. Gun crimes there are totally out of control, despite the toughest laws in the nation. So, if those tough gun laws don't work in the Windy City, why should they work anywhere else? President Obama and Hillary Clinton. Talking Points has said it before. All gun crimes should be federalized and gun laws themselves should be made by the states, with the two exceptions of mental health and convicted criminals. If Texas wants to have lenient gun laws, fine. If Massachusetts wants the opposite, fine. But if someone commits a crime using a gun and is convicted, they should receive a mandatory 5 years in a federal pen on top of the punishment for the other crime. That would go a long way in stopping the abuse of guns, would it not? Right now in Chicago, cops can find you with a gun. Little happens in many circumstances. Plea bargains all over the place. That's got to stop. Summing up, the husband of former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, who herself was shot by a madman and badly injured, told the truth yesterday when asked this.
What gun laws can you point to that specifically would have prevented the shooting in Roseburg, Oregon, or any of the horrific shooting events we've seen in the last 5 years or so?
You know, with individual events, I mean, sometimes there isn't a specific law that you can point to that would prevent a tragedy like this from happening.
Mr. Kelly, a good man, wants more stringent background checks when guns are sold. But he knows that laws cannot stop the madness. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, controversy in Roseburg, Oregon, where the killings took place last week. Joining us from that town, David Jakes, publisher of the Roseburg Beacon. First of all, Mr. Jakes, now that the investigation's underway, the mother of the killer, whom we're not naming the killer or showing the sick guy's picture, the mother was stockpiling guns in the one-bedroom apartment. Is that correct?
Well, Bill, I would agree with you that the mother had guns in the apartment. The question is, with the use of the term stockpiling, as is being reported by some agencies, that tends to be maybe an inflammatory word. What I would tell you that we know for a certainty, there were 14 guns that this gunman had access to, 6 of which were recovered on the scene, 6 of which were recovered in the subsequent investigation at his apartment, or 8 of which. So that's 14 total, 6 on the scene, 8 in the apartment. But I would suggest, Bill, in Douglas County, that would not be an unusual number in a good number of households.
Is that right? In a one-bedroom apartment, 1 bedroom, 14 guns. And the mom,
well,
and you correct me if I'm wrong, the mom, all right, is buying a bunch of the guns and taking the son to the firing range where they don't want to be supervised. Is that correct?
Well, it's our understanding that the mom did purchase the guns lawfully. Whether she is seen accompanying her son at one of the shooting ranges is yet to be confirmed. We've been talking to some of the gun clubs, and we're looking to get confirmation on that, Bill. But as of this hour, that's speculation.
All right, that's a report.
It would be reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, but look,
yeah.
No matter what, the guy had and the mother had the right to buy guns in Oregon because they had no criminal record. But I think there's a little madness in here. Just my opinion. I could be wrong. Now, there's a rumor President Obama might go to Roseburg, Douglas County. The funeral starts Thursday, and I guess they will extend into next week. How will the president be treated if he does indeed travel to Roseburg?
Well, I think the president, first of all, is not welcome in the community, and that isn't just my opinion. We've talked to dozens upon dozens of citizens, some family members of the victims, our elected officials, and you may have a copy. If you don't, I'd be happy to read from it on the air, that our Douglas County commissioners, along with our Douglas County elected sheriff, who is very popular, and our chief of police, all came to a consensus language about him not being welcome here to grandstand for political purposes.
All right,
and I'd be happy to read that or share it.
Don't read it, but just encapsulate why they don't want President Obama to come.
Well, the bottom line, Bill, is that a number of people believe that when the president opened his press conference, we still haven't finished counting the bodies on the campus right behind me. We haven't identified whose children were killed and whose were not. And even at that same moment, he is saying, some people will accuse me of politicizing this issue. And he goes on to say, but it should be. So he not only acknowledged that it could be politicized, he was doing so deliberately. So now he wants to come to our community and stand on the corpses of our loved ones to make some kind of a political point. And it isn't going to be well received, not by our people, not by the families, and not even by our elected officials.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, if that happens, Mr. Jakes, we'll check back. Real quick. Go ahead.
If I may, there's one other thing I'd like to throw in just really quickly. Something else, even on the heels of this rumor the president may come, is that the Westboro Baptists are on their way to disrupt some of these funerals. And we think this is appalling. There's an organized plan to help keep the families isolated from this. But this is just one more potential insult to what
and
these
that would be
families have already gone through.
horrible if those are the people, the anti-gay people who show up and they blame all tragedies that God is punishing America. We hope that doesn't happen, Mr. Jakes. If it does, you let us know. Thank you very much. Next on the rundown, Juan Williams and Laura Ingraham on why liberals and conservatives will not protect the American people from harm. And later, Charles Krauthammer and the Hillary Clinton campaign. Is she in real trouble? Factors coming right back.